Hip-hop, the genre of music that isn't even a lifetime old yet and has already touched so many different surfaces of the world throughout the years. If you're like me, then you grew up on hip-hop. You wanted to know who all the rising rappers were, what were the hottest songs out, and who was running the game. As many of y'all know, that love and interest turned me to starting this channel and to start discussing things mainly pertain to hip-hop on my channel, but from a different perspective. One was me being born in the early 2000s, and another is me talking about stuff that really doesn't get discussed all that often in hip-hop. I always try to push myself as a content creator and just do what I feel like should be discussed, and recently I've been watching a lot of lost media videos on YouTube, and it really got me thinking, why hasn't anybody really did this with just like straight hip-hop? There is a ton of lost media in hip-hop from all generations, and there are just so many stories to be told out there. For those who don't know, lost media is defined as media that no longer exists, is missing, or is no longer available to the general public. Lost media is really an umbrella term, which by definition an umbrella term is a word or phrase that covers a wide range of concepts belonging to a common category. Essentially, if you ask 10 different people to define lost media, you'll probably get 10 different answers, but their answers are mostly probably under this umbrella. I thought it would be a cool concept to do this video, but with hip-hop, because it's something I really want to turn into a series one day, because there is just so much stuff out there that is lost media-wise in hip-hop. Before I get more into the video, I would first like to thank you guys for coming to see this, because you guys can be doing a million other things right now, but instead you're here with me, and I really appreciate that. If you guys like the content, you guys should like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. I reply to some of the comments and I love going through them and seeing what you guys think. Also, follow my Instagram too. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love. Like, it's all good. Also, let me know where you are tuning in from. Represent where you're from. I'm going to really need your support on this one. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So, longtime viewers on this channel know that I've discussed this topic multiple times, and I debated about making it into a full video, but I decided to throw it in this video since surprisingly a lot of people still don't know about it in depth. I think even if you're at least a casual hip-hop fan, then you know that the Wu-Tang Clan really was a force to be reckoned with after they dropped their debut album Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers in November of 1993. What some people don't know is that sometime after Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers or Method Man's debut album Clout, the Wu-Tang ran into a huge problem that pretty much ultimately changed rap history forever. RZA, the abbot of the Wu-Tang, had tried to emulate past legends of the music industry after he read up on some books about Stax Records, which is a Memphis record label known for releases from iconic soul artists like the Staple Singers and William Bell. RZA set out to use the models of companies like Motown and Stax to build a sound that would define the Wu-Tang, just like Stax and Motown had done in the past. Motown was founded in Detroit, Stax was founded in Memphis, and RZA would start this studio in Staten Island, New York. From what I read, I think the flood happened in 1994, but there is also rumors of there being two floods because Wu-Tang was at an event for Red Bull and Ghostface Killah talks about there being two floods. Based on group member accounts, it appears the first flood happened before the release of Clout, and the second flood happened right around the release of Raekwon's debut album Only Built for Cuban Links. RZA would end up doing an interview with Vibe magazine in September of 1996, and he had this to say: "When the first Wu album came out, we had all the other albums ready. I had the ish with everybody's name on it, and everybody had at least 15 beats in their section. I lost 300 beats in the flood. All that got washed up." RZA estimated that it was around 300 beats, but there is speculation that the number is actually higher. Another member of the Wu-Tang clan, Raekwon, said in an interview with DJ Booth that it wasn't just RZA's work that was washed away. Raekwon would say, "You had True Master, you had Fourth Disciple. They all had different sounds. It was just a collage of organic violins and certain eerie sounds, knockers and bangers in beats that was challenging to us." Several other Wu members and affiliated talents lost things in the flood, but one such person who many people think got it the worst was Wu-Tang member Inspector Deck. RZA thinks that if it wasn't for the flood, then Inspector Deck's original debut album would have been up there with the best of them in the Wu-Tang Clan's discography. Inspector Deck was actually on the road when RZA called him and told him about the flood. Deck was obviously stunned. What really sucks is that the original concept of Inspector Deck's album was built around Spider-Man because Ghostface Killah was Iron Man. Me personally, I felt like it would have been a dope concept for an album, especially since Deck was supposed to be one of the first ones to drop a solo album on the Wu-Tang. Deck tried to recreate the vibe of the first album, but it wasn't the same. He tried to put the lyrics he had from the original album on new beats, but it just didn't work. Deck tried everything he could though. In an interview, Deck said, "Back then, we was doing beats on the ASR-10 floppy disk and things like that. Floppy disk got soaked. I tried to salvage it. I took it to a computer place. Nothing could happen. So I lost that first album and had to start all over again." Inspector Deck said that the place tried everything that they could, and he even ran up a bill of 15 to 16 grand trying to save this album. These floods would ultimately end up changing rap history forever, because just imagine if Inspector Deck was one of the first people to drop a solo album from the Wu-Tang, and all these beats and equipment didn't end up getting destroyed. Things will be a lot different. Deck would eventually release his debut album Uncontrolled Substance all the way in October of 1999 after delay. Despite all this drama, it still did manage to go gold, but it's unfortunate Deck never really got his moment to shine in the solo spotlight with all that happened. This was quite a bit of info, but I'm also holding back some because I'm thinking about potentially doing a whole video on this topic and making a alternate timeline of what if, just like I did with Nas's album I Am, which you guys should definitely go check out because I thought that this was a great concept for a video. I'll put a link in the description. In conclusion, unfortunately, it looks like we'll never get any of this lost media because it was unfortunately destroyed by floods. Ether, arguably one of the best diss tracks of all time in hip-hop history. You can debate that if you want to, but viewers of this channel already know where I stand on that debate. But the version we have today on Nas's 5th studio album, Stillmatic, however, is the 3rd version of the song. Many people already know about the infamous beef between Jay-Z and Nas, so I'm not going to bore you with you having to rehear it for the 500th time, but producer Large Professor did an interview with DJ Vlad, and he said Swizz Beatz did the original version of Ether. The beat was a lot faster and a lot more noisier. The first version of Ether was deemed too soft, and the second version was deemed way too hard. But some lyrics from the version that was way too hard were leaked, like the Dame Dash plane crash Aaliyah line Nas had in the song. Steve Stout thought that if that original version of Ether came out, then Nas's career was over, so he wanted him to redo that record. This is what Nas said about the situation during an interview with Funk Flex in December of 2001.
When I had the show in Rochester, the fans haven't heard Ether yet.
Okay.
So they wanted me to say something. I didn't want to say Ether, they didn't know it.
Okay.
So I had just thought of something on the spot. And I was mad. I didn't really want to say that. I said, "Rest in peace, Aaliyah, I love you." Instead of "you in that plane crash," it should have been. But, you know, that's me speaking out of...
At the moment,
and no disrespect, Aaliyah was a beautiful woman and a queen, so obviously I wasn't dissing her when I said, "Rest in peace, I love you," because I did love her when she was living, as well as now. So, I mean, I definitely take that back. I take that one back, because this battle was for the records. It's like, you put out your record and I put out mine, I'm not with all the freestyles at the shows and all that.
So you felt Takeover was trying to end your career? Jay wasn't
having fun. He thought that he had done his thing, and he's the type of brother that want to kick you when you're down.
Okay.
Basically, I'm not that type of brother. You know, Jay-Z is still my brother. At the end of the day, I love him. He's a good artist, but Ether burns.
So yeah, there's that, and like I said, there has been lyrics floating around from the original disses in which Nas alleges a time Big Pun put a gun to Jay-Z's chest along with other things. Ultimately, there were 3 versions of Ether, and like I said, the first one in diss terms was deemed soft because Nas initially, in his words, didn't really want to go that hard at Jay-Z. Then Nas changed it up with the second one and went, like, you know, according to some people, he went too hard at Jay-Z, which led him to changing it, and we ultimately got the 3rd version, which is the version that we have today. In conclusion, the first 2 versions of the track may be out there somewhere. I don't know if it was destroyed, but there is a possibility that those first 2 versions are out there, but I doubt they will be released willingly because Jay-Z and Nas have since squashed their beef, and it just wouldn't be right if, let's say, like that more vulgar version of Ether surfaced online today. Even though I'm intrigued to hear the first versions of Ether and what Nas actually had to say, I'm actually rather more interested in hearing what the beat sounded like. The beat for Ether that we have today is cool. Nothing like really crazy. Like, I think that Ron Browse definitely did a good job, but I think that we can only imagine what a faster version of an Ether type record would sound like, especially with Swizz beats. We might not ever hear the full versions of the original versions of Ether, but at least we have some lyrics that leaked online. Producer Ski Beats produced multiple tracks on Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt, but what many don't know is that him and Jay-Z had a whole album before Reasonable Doubt along with unreleased material from the late Big L and Camp Lo. Ski Beats would trash them after making a switch in his recording technology. In an interview, Ski said, "Around the time I was working for Big L, that's when he passed. Nobody heard the songs, and I did all those songs on ADAT, audio tapes. Around that time, that's when the whole Pro Tools and the whole computer thing started to come into play. I wasn't even thinking about the future. Any ADATs I had, I just got rid of all my ADATs and went into the computer world. I didn't make copies of anything that we did." Ski Beats would also further elaborate on this by saying this in an interview. That goes for a lot of Jay-Z. Before Reasonable Doubt, we had a whole album that we did that nobody has ever heard. I did it on ADAT, and when I got rid of all the ADAT, I got rid of all the Big L stuff, all the Jay-Z stuff, even unreleased Camp Lo music. I wasn't even thinking. Ski admitted that he wasn't even thinking, and he had no idea that he was literally making history. He didn't think that everybody he was working with was going to be something one day, and people would want to hear their earlier music. Now he keeps everything because he never knows what can happen. Due to Ski Beats trashing that Jay-Z stuff, he also trashed some unreleased Big L music. How the Big L collaborations came about, as told by Ski Beats, was that Big L was from Harlem, along with Dame Dash, who ended up starting Rockefeller Records with Jay-Z. But that's a whole other series of stories that I mostly covered in my Rockefeller series, which you guys should definitely go check out. Link in the description. Dame knew that he had to introduce Jay-Z to Big L so they could have this friendly battle. In an interview with DJ Booth, Ski had this to say. Dame had signed Jay-Z as an artist. Dame and Jay, they used to go around the city and basically battle people. Whoever was the hottest in Queens, Bronx, whatever. Dame would take Jay to these people and have a friendly competition to get Jay's name out at the time. Big L and Jay-Z battled, but according to Ski Beats, he doesn't know who won, but he knows that after the battle, Jay and L became friends because they had that mutual respect for each other. Big L started hanging out with the crew, and Ski eventually had the opportunity to record a couple songs with Big L at his crib, while he was staying in Harlem. Ski recollects this was around 1993 or 1994. In conclusion, it looks like we'll never get any of this lost media I talked about due to it being trashed. For those who don't know, Mobb Deep is a rap group from Queens, New York, who rose to prominence in the mid-90s with their classic second album, The Infamous. But a lot of people don't really consider it to be their second album though, so that should be noted. Some people don't really count Juvenile Hell as their first album, but I digress. Mobb Deep's fourth album, Murda Muzik, was leaked through Napster. Something very similar happened to Nas's album I Am, which like I said I did a video on earlier, and Lil' Kim's album The Notorious K.I.M. Unlike these albums though, much of Murda Muzik's original content was left intact, but some lyrics and beats did end up changing due to Mobb Deep re-recording. Now on the Lost Media Wiki page, it has a link to a webpage which was about Murda Muzik, and the information was posted in May of 1999, which means this was posted approximately 3 months before Murda Muzik was officially released in August of 1999. Now this was released by RNS, which stands for Rabid Neurosis. Once again, hope I'm saying that right. Rabid Neurosis, and apparently they were one of the first MP3 piracy groups and allegedly were responsible for pirating a lot of popular music back in the day. Obviously, this was before my time, so maybe people from back then know a lot more about them, but if you want to know more about them, then I suggest that you look in the description where I'll provide a link to an article where you can read all about them. Now, these are the notes from the project that I'm about to read. Once again, RNS brings you the hottest ish around. This is a review copy of the forthcoming album by Mobb Deep, Murda Muzik, featuring guest appearances from 8Ball, Cormega, Kool G Rap, Big Noid, and Tupac. We're kidding about Tupac. This album was originally slated for an April or May release, but because Mobb Deep's label Loud is no longer being distributed by RCA BMG, the album has been pushed back until mid-summer, while Loud searches for a new distribution deal. In the meantime, RNS has brought you the closest thing to the complete album available. That is, the review copy that has been used as the basis for all the premature reviews you have seen in The Source, Blaze, etc. Please note that as a measure to prevent bootlegging doesn't seem to have prevented it, and yeah, that's crazy. Loud has added a remarkably annoying female voice to every track, proclaiming that this is for promotional use only and the like. As well, they have left some tracks complete and faded others out towards the end of the song. All advanced review copies were sent out like this, as were advanced copies of Mobb Deep's last album, Hell on Earth, and there is nothing RNS can do about it. If you don't want to hear the for promotional use only notice, wait for it to come out in stores. You'll be waiting a while. Enjoy. So after this, let me show you the track list for the official versions of Murda Muzik. Now let me show you the track list that's on the Lost Media Wiki. I don't know how I'm going to put it on the screen, but you might have to pause it to get a full look on both, but as you can see, the versions are different. The song Deer Park featuring Cormega was renamed to What's Your Poison. White Lines was renamed to Quiet Storm. The Realest Ish featuring Kool G Rap was renamed The Realest. And the track That True Ish featuring Chinky originally had kids singing on the hook. I'll now show you the RNS version where there are more differences, where they have songs that aren't on either version, such as Mobb Coming Through featuring Big Noid, Pow Raps, F That B, and Nobody Likes Me. Another interesting thing that I found was that literally in March of this year, someone posted the unreleased album / bootleg copy from 1999 of Murda Muzik. Interestingly enough though, they provided a Dropbox link so you guys can download it if you want it, but I also saw the track list and it appears to be the same one as the one on the Lost Media Wiki. In October of 2020, a Redditor named Jalen Clark 952 uploaded some links to the pre-leaked version of the album on the R-Rap subreddit, which is, in my mind, I think the person who posted the album on YouTube is the same person or just got it from that person, but they say the exact same thing when they're describing the album's track list, so it might be the same person. In conclusion, I would say the pre-leaked material of this album is either mostly found, if not all found. So I was on the Lost Media Wiki looking for things to talk about in this video, and I ran across a page talking about an unreleased EP that Mac Miller and Madlib had. For those who don't know, Madlib is a record producer who is widely known for his collaborations with the late MF Doom as Madvillain, J Dilla as J-Lib, and Freddie Gibbs as Mad Gibbs. If you haven't listened to his works, then I definitely recommend that you go check it out because he's definitely up there for my best producers of all time. Mac Miller was a popular rapper from Pittsburgh who had/has a very dedicated fan base. I don't want to go too deep into the story of Mac Miller in this video, but Madlib and Mac Miller met after Mac recorded the last verse on Freddie Gibbs' Pinata album. By early 2015, Madlib had already given Mac a bunch of beats and Mac was recording records. Madlib would end up playing one of Mac Miller's tracks in July of 2016 at a European festival. After this, Mac Miller wanted to do an EP. In 2017, Mac got more beats from Madlib and Mac continued recording. Madlib continued to play a song here and there while he was doing his sets at festivals, and word would eventually get back to Mac, who was truly excited. Unfortunately, Mac Miller would pass away in September of 2018, leaving any plans remaining on the Madlib project unfinished. Producer Thelonious Martin, I hope that I'm saying that right, would do an interview in 2019 and he would say this quote, "There's plenty of it. When we was working on Guidelines, he was always excited about all these other songs. He had this Madlib album called MacLib. I opened up for Madlib in Chicago last summer at Pitchfork. So I'm opening up for Madlib. In about 15-20 minutes left in my set, Madlib pulls up. Pete Rock walks up as well. So I'm trying to focus and DJ, and Madlib gets on, and 15 minutes into his set, he just randomly plays a Mac Miller joint. And I turn to him. I'm like, there's more of these, right? He says, oh yeah, there's a whole album, MacLib. What? He just kept moving on with his DJ set. If Madlib decides to bless the world with that project, he should. Keep in mind, this article was posted in February of 2019. Literally a day after the article came out, Thundercat, a record producer, a frequent collaborator, and close friend of Mac Miller, posted a tweet saying that he was there when they recorded it and it blew his mind. Also, side note, Thundercat says that he has a full album with Mac Miller as well. In March of 2019 is when an article was posted on Rapcats where we would receive a little bit more information on the project. At the end of the article, it says that there is no official plans to release this EP. Since March of 2019, only a few recordings of the collaborations between Mac Miller and Madlib have surfaced online. One piece of audio features Thundercat and was first played by Madlib in San Diego. The second one is a longer song, over 2 minutes long, and was played by Madlib during a DJ set in July of 2019. People don't know if the second song was intended for the EP or not. The titles of these songs, if they ever had any, are not known as well. In conclusion, I don't know if this EP between Mac Miller and Madlib will ever come out. It would be dope to hear a Madlib and Mac Miller EP, but with Mac's passing, I just don't know if it will ever see an official release. And I mean, like, we know who has it, so it's technically not lost as if we can't find it, because we know that it exists and we know who has it. At one point, it was intended for public consumption, and we even got a couple glimpses at this project. But unfortunately, we will never know if we will ever hear this project in full. I still remember vividly when I first heard Pusha T drop the diss track, The Story of Adidon, in May of 2018. I just remember looking at the cover and I already knew this was about to be history. I played the track and I remember I had to keep pausing it and rewinding it back like it was like a freaking smack battle. Like, yo, like I wish like I could have watched like, yo, I wish I could have dropped a couple Don DeMarcos. Pusha T was indeed speaking to Drake's soul. When Pusha T said it was going to be a surgical summer and that this was pretty much the beginning, I was so ready to hear what Drake had to say in response to this diss. I've gotten a ton of requests to cover the Pusha T Drake beef, but there's already a ton of videos covering it, and I thought to add this to this video to somewhat please those people who've been asking for it. But back to the story though, and yeah, after the story of Adidon, I, like many people, awaited a response from Drake. Would Drake respond? How would he respond? What dirt did he have on Pusha T and Kanye? This was all questions going through my head. After the story of Adidon, Drake did not officially reply with the diss. There were talks of Drake having a diss record pretty much ready to go, but music mogul Jay Prince didn't want Drake to release it because he thought Drake was sitting on a career-ending Pusha T and Kanye diss track. In an interview, Jay Prince had this to say about the track. The ingredients was overwhelming. I knew for a fact that it would have been bad for Kanye and my man. It just wouldn't be good. It's beyond music at that point. It's going to affect the livelihood. It's going to interfere with his whole lifestyle from that moment. In regards to if it would leak one day, Jay Prince said that Drake gave him his word that it wouldn't. Now, my opinion on this track of if it would have ended careers, my answer is a no. I just think that Drake was going to say that he had slept with Kim Kardashian or something to that extent. I'm not going to get into all that. But yeah, that's what I think that was allegedly in this track. I don't get the point of saying that you got this career-ending track, but we the public get to never ever listen to it, and we don't even know if it's true. Me personally, I just find it weird how Jay Prince shielded this song during the Pusha Drake beef, but this type of stuff didn't happen during the Drake Meek beef. Now that Drake had a worthy opponent, no disrespect Meek, that sounded childish. That wasn't even in the script. That was just ad-lib. That's crazy. But no disrespect, Meek. I mess with Philly big time. If you on this channel, you know that I mess with Philly big time. But Meek was tripping. But Pusha was definitely not Meek. He was not playing around, and Pusha was applying that pressure. So now that Pusha was applying this pressure, things was a little bit different. I'm just calling it how I see it, and I don't have a problem with Jay Prince either. Jay Prince, I want to live in Texas one day. If you've seen this, Jay Prince, I want to live in Texas one day. But there's just something that's just something that I was just thinking. Anyways, while I was doing research, I came across this Reddit post from some months back explaining a theory about the diss track. Shout out to user It Is What It Is Boy on Reddit. I'll put what he said on the screen so you guys can read it and you can pause the video to fully read it. The theory alleges that a couple years ago on the Kanye to the forum, a user that goes by the name of 600 Not Nice claimed to be a cousin of producer Vinyls and said Drake's diss track against Pusha T and Kanye West is titled Truth Be Told, which was produced by Boy Wonder, 40 and Vinyls. In Drake's Rap Radar interview, that user's claim about Vinyls matched what Drake was saying and that it was produced by Vinyls. I'll even put up the post that the user made on the Kanye to the forum so you guys can see, and he even said that he got word that the track was confirmed and people waited in anticipation, but the track ended up never coming out. The person from the Reddit post says that there could have been a possibility that the person was pretending to be Vinyl's cousin because it was never confirmed, but another piece of strong evidence that the person was telling the truth are on some bars on Drake's song Murda that are directed towards Kanye West. The bars are: borderline dangerous, approach with caution. I plan to buy your most personal belongings when they're up for auction. Man, truth be told, I think about it often. The petty king, the overseer of many things. In conclusion, I don't know if this track will ever get leaked or released. Drake swore to Jay Prince that it wouldn't release, which leads me to think that the only way that the public will hear this track is if it somehow did leak. The Pusha T Drake beef has died down a lot. I mean, like, Pusha still be throwing jabs at Drake. I think that a lot of people are waiting to see what Drake does on his album Certified Lover Boy. I also know Pusha T has an album coming out soon, so we could potentially see this war reignite again this year. I think this alleged diss track definitely classifies as lost media because it was at one point intended for public consumption, but things happened and it was deliberately made not available to the public. Now, the status of where the diss track is, I have no clue if it was completely scrapped, put on a flash drive somewhere, or whatever, but we got from multiple accounts that this alleged track existed. My guess is it probably is out there somewhere. This pretty much wraps up the video today. Thank you guys so much for coming through, and yo, thank you to all the people who listened to this. Special thanks to all the people who stayed all the way through until the end. You guys are the true champs, and I really mess with you guys. I really want to turn this into a series one day because there is so much lost hip-hop media out there, and today was just the tip of the iceberg, and I took it pretty light. All in all, tell me what you guys think of the video and some of the things that I have discussed today. I'll list some of the lost wikis to some of these subjects in the comments with some additional information if I have it for you guys. Make sure to tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.